Amber, darling heart, sweetest. How long the term is going to seem. Surely you can get back here before next halls.
Dear untutored boy, I do have my responsibilities.
Give the girls a long weekend, what? After all, Angel, it is your school.
Mad Grenadier. I adore you like this. All hot from the palace guard.
There is only one, Dora Bryan.
Well, that was a bit of a surprise, Rod, wasn't it?
You little saucepot.
I may say I'm delighted to be here tonight. I really am. Or this afternoon, or whatever it is. Mind you, at my age...
Whatever you are.
At my age, I'm delighted to be anywhere.
You've worked with them all, haven't you? You're leading men.
Who was that man? I don't know. I can't remember. Was it Jonathan Cecil? I think it was. I don't know.
Sure,
but it came as quite a surprise and a shock.
Yeah. Frankie Howard, he was in that movie as well,
Yes,
wasn't
he was.
Oh, no, don't.
It was the Great St. Trinian's train robbery, and I seem to remember we went up and down the countryside on a train. We'd done a big bank robbery. So that's where they got the idea from, I expect.
I see.
The great, you know...
St. Trinian's
We've
train.
got something to answer for, haven't we?
Now, you're going to be going up and down the country.
Oh, I am, Ross. What have I started? It all started with somebody saying, you know, I'm 60 years on the stage this year. You see, I started when I was 10 as an amateur, you see. I didn't turn professional, though, until I was 12. Yes, and then I started off in pantomime, and I've done more or less everything. And the audiences, I've tried it out a little bit, you know, here and there, and they seem to be so interested in what I have to tell them about the varied career that I've had. And so I do songs from shows that I've been in. I've been in lots of musicals, and The Water Gypsies, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and Hello Dolly, and the last one in the West End was 70 Girls 70. And I tell stories about me in pantomime when I was a little girl, and also stories at the Rep in Oldham.
Tell us a couple.
Well, two stories. When I was at the Rep in Oldham, it was during the war and you couldn't get men. I was only little. I started there. You see, when I finished with the pantomime, my mother wanted me to get a bit more sort of experience. So I was taken to the local repertory theatre, you see. And they took me on as a student, which really means you're just doing, you know, a lot of work for nothing. And working very hard and making the loose covers for the curtains and things like that, and playing small parts. But one week I was given the part of Jane Eyre. And during the war, you couldn't get men, you see, because they were away. So it was very difficult to get actors. So there was invariably something wrong with them. They were either too young for the part, or too old, or they got bad eyesight, or flat feet, or something was wrong. But this man was definitely too old to play Rochester, with me playing Jane, and I was 16, with a little brown wig on and crinoline. And I was very popular at the Rep because I was a local girl, you see. And my real name was Dora Broadbent. That's another story. But anyway, Rochester proposed to me, you see, and this little old lady got up in the audience and she shouted, "Don't, Dora, love, he's too old for you." Yeah. And I was also in charge of putting the records on in the interval at the Rep. Now, the Coliseum Oldham is a famous little theatre, but it's not very well equipped backstage. And I used to have to pull the curtains with a rope, you know, to pull them to, and put the records on in the interval. Well, we were doing a play called Ghosts by Henrik Ibsen. Do you know it?
No.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, it's a very, very gloomy play, and very sort of the fjords and all that, you know. And the records that had to go on in the interval were sort of chosen to fit in with the mood of the play. Well, now imagine the war's on in Oldham. It's foggy. It's very cold. And I looked out at the audience in the interval, and they were looking so miserable, and I'm in charge of the records. And I was supposed to put this chamber music on. Well, Ross, I had just bought Joe Loss Is in the Mood. So, what do? I think I'll cheer this lot up. Because they were all sitting there like this, you know, because it was such a gloomy place. So I put on Joe Loss's, you know, Mr. What you call me, what you doing tonight? Oh, I hope you're in the mood. And I was just turning over to put on the Woodchopper's Ball, which was on the other side. And the producer came round and he broke my record and threatened to get me the sack. But he didn't get me the sack, otherwise I wouldn't have been here tonight, would I? And I just tell him lots of stories like that, and I'd tell him about, oh, I did cabaret on the Canberra the year before last, and just one night I had to do. It was 10 days cruise, and I just did the one night on the Canberra. And this girl, I went to have my hair done. I thought I'd better get it done professionally, as I'm starring tonight, you know, Dora, Bryan and cabaret tonight. So the little girls from Manchester, Steiner's in Manchester, they're always from Steiner's in Manchester, these shampooists. And she's rubbing away at my hair. She said, oh, she said, I've been rushed off my feet all day. She said, they're all going to see that Dora Bryan. I've never heard of her, have you? What the evening's about, me just telling true stories.
It's wonderful. The last time we worked together, we were actually in Hyde Park in front of 300,000 people and the Queen.
The Queen was watching us.
She was. And you were just wonderful. You just...
Was I?
Yeah, you were brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right.
What was I doing? Oh, I know. I sang that song from Charlie Girl.
You did indeed, yes.
Party of a Lifetime,
Yeah,
yes. It was a good day. And then, don't you remember our first meeting?
Oh, yes.
Was on the pier in Brighton.
Oh, yes, that was a bit naughty.
Oh, gosh, it was cold,
It was
wasn't
indeed. I'm delighted to have you back here again. Presumably, there's no way you're going to stop. You're just going to keep going, aren't you?
Well, I think it's best. I think it's best. But I'm touring all over the country, so if you see it in your little hall, wherever you live, in whichever town, I don't know if I come to Birmingham. No doubt I will after this programme.
I think you will. You'll go everywhere. You sold it to us. Dora Bryan.
All right. Thank you, Ross.